So instead of don't watch the Samara video, it should be don't watch the Rings trailer. Rings stars Matilda Lutz, Alex Rowe, and is directed by F. Javier Gutierrez. So guys, before I get into this review, let me just warn you, I'm going to talk about some spoilers after the rating, but you're fine up until the rating. So the Ring franchise has kind of had a troubled past. The first one is a classic, and it's a remake of the Japanese original, which is also a classic. But then the second movie, not so good. So how is Rings? You could probably predict. But anyway, let's get into this review. So in Rings, where the story really kicks off is Gabriel, played by Johnny Galecki. He is at this thrift shop or whatever, and he finds this VHS player. It belongs to one of the previous victims of Samara. And when he gets the VCR home, he notices that the tape is still in there. So what does he do? We all know it. He watches the tape, and the curse of Samara is set upon him. So Gabriel has to find a quote-unquote tail, being a person that also watches the tape, and that will buy him some time. And so every person that gets the Samara curse, they have to make a copy of the copy that they had and pass it on to the next person. Kind of sounds similar to the plot of It Follows a little bit. You pass on the curse of it through sex with a new human being. Julia, played by Matilda Lutz, who looks strikingly like Phoebe Cates from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. A little bit of Jessica Alba in there. Her boyfriend is one of the guys that is actually a tail for Gabriel. And in order to save him, she ends up watching the tape herself. But in the tape she watches, there are some extra scenes there, which is an added plot device. And I won't explain why, because I don't want to get into any spoilers. So first off, let's get into the pros of Rings. First off, it's not as bad as I expected it to be. I thought that this movie was going to be bottom of the barrel, complete crap, because there are a lot of horror movies that are like this. And this is a sequel to, or kind of a reboot, I guess, to The Ring. And this go around, I didn't even look at the Rotten Tomatoes ratings because I already knew that they're going to be low. But it wasn't all bad. There are some interesting ideas in here. It is shot really nice. There's some good camera work in here. I mean, it's nothing to write home about, but I found it pretty engaging actually. Also, Samara is a really interesting character. She has proven herself as kind of a horror icon. If you didn't have Samara in these movies, then we wouldn't be seeing any more Rings movies. Her backstory is really interesting. But that is part of the problem of this movie, is it focuses way too hard on the backstory. It tries to tell you way too much, and I don't think movies have to do that. I prefer ambiguity in movies. You don't have to give away everything, and if you don't do that, then it makes the story more interesting. Also, the characters in this movie aren't that interesting at all. And that's a big problem for the main character, Julia, because she is a pivotal character in this role, and if handled correctly, she could have been a lot more interesting. But unfortunately, I blame it on the writing because she wasn't that interesting really. And also a huge con, and I don't directly blame it on the movie itself, but maybe the marketing team behind the movie, they should all be fired. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to give away any kind of spoilers or anything, but I will say that trailers give away way too much these days, and somebody needs to pay. Also, this movie is extremely predictable. You're gonna be able to call everything that happens. You're not gonna be surprised by anything that much, and ultimately it's gonna be forgettable. So for that, I'm gonna give Rings a 2 hours lost. It's close to a Humdrum. I mean, if you're a horror fan, especially a fan of the Ring franchise, then I'd say check it out. I think it's better than the second one, but it doesn't even touch the first one. And it's PG-13, and it's not scary at all. That's not to say that there aren't good PG-13 horror movies. There are, but this type of movie really could have suited an R rating actually, and it probably would have been better. Okay, now let's get into some spoiler talk, because I wanted to address something, and I touched on it when I talked about the trailers, and this trailer gives away the ending. I would say at least 85% gives away the ending of the movie. If I didn't see this trailer, I probably would have enjoyed the ending a lot better. And what I meant by Julia is an interesting character with a lot of potential is because she wasn't afraid of Samara. So Samara used her, and she had used previous other, I guess, victims in the past to try to free herself. And Julia was no different. That's what she used Julia for. She wanted to free herself. Ultimately, freeing herself through Julia, as we saw at the end where she's taking the shower and she comes out, and then that's the scene we see in the trailer when she starts coughing up Samara. Also, we find out that her scumbag father, Burke, was actually a priest or a man of God, and he raped Samara's mother. And in the end, I really just didn't care about all this stuff. I think the story wasn't unfolded that well. I think that's the big problem. They gave away way too much, and so by the end, nothing was interesting. So anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on Rings? Looking forward to hearing them. Also, make sure you jump on over to Killer Flicks and become a member, where we talk horror all day, every day. If you look down below, you can see all my social media links. If you like what I'm doing, please hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and Drumdum out.